Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of The Tomorrow People. And this episode was just okay for me. I think I just have a really big problem with the love triangle that they're really pushing on us. And the fact that, Steven and Cara are sort of in this, mind space that they're destined to be together. And I think it's a bit much. And I think that is one of the things that was really bothering me about this episode. I didn't like how Cara was treating either of them. I mean, she was the guilty party and she was totally treating Steven horribly and then she was totally treating John horribly. And then I didn't like how Steven was running around and, reading Astrid's mind and making out with girls at his party. I mean, I did like the fact that they tried to have him be like a normal kid, but he's not. So why are we wasting our time doing that, I guess, and having him use his powers and at a basketball game? I don't know. I just felt like the storyline between the three, John, Cara, and Steven, hasn't earned itself to be at this point. John and Cara being in a relationship, fine. If it's not working out, break up with him, go on and be with Steven. But now this like love triangle where John forgives her and he is pretty much like, as long as you love me, I'm fine. Really? Really? I mean, he basically says, he loves you, and she basically says, I love him too. And then he says, but do you love me? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, then I'm fine with it. I'm like, what? Like, in what universe is this okay? I mean, I know that they're in a whole different universe, but I don't know. I think that this love triangle has happened a little too soon, and I think that they're trying to, push this we're destined to be together between Cara and Steven a little too much. And I don't know, it just feels off to me. And then we had Astrid, who, was trying to be his friend throughout this episode, and she just kept getting, like, smacked in the face, left, right, and center. So I was just kind of like, I don't know, like, it just, everything just felt a little weird and off for me in this episode. Now, Jedediah obviously knows that Steven is lying to him, and he puts this suppression bracelet cuff on him so that he can't use his powers, because Steven's basically been complaining this whole time that he doesn't like his powers and he doesn't want to have to blah, blah, blah. So he pretty much takes the powers away from him. And then they're running after this like crazy tomorrow person who is a rapist, which is very creepy. And of course, this brings back a lot of memories for Cara, and Cara is like, wants to pummel this man down. And it turns out that when they finally catch up with him, Steven is the one who figures it out, that he's taking girls down to the sewer because apparently water can suppress like your ability to telecommunicate with somebody. So that's why he was able to go down there and nobody could figure out where he was going. And Steven is the one who figures this out, and then he becomes in jeopardy because obviously he has no powers and he's going up against a tomorrow person. So they start fighting. He tries to drown him, and he's pretty much like under the water and heading towards the light when he sees his dad, and his dad is talking to him and tells him about he has to help and find and save these people, and he says some name that I can't even remember. And so now, of course, John rescues Steven and he tells them what he saw when he was down there, that his dad's alive, and they have to figure out where he is. And of course, Jedediah is totally onto him because when they bring this rapist back to Ultra, he says, oh, well, the guy was telling me that some woman was fighting with him, and obviously that's Cara, and Jedediah was under the impression that Cara was dead. So, this whole Steven playing both sides is getting a little played out because Jedediah is fully on to him. Now, the other part of this that I didn't really like was the fact that, his partner, our agent Nichols, was killed last week. Her sister was brought on, and then there's no mention of her. There's not even a sighting of her in this episode. So it's just, sometimes I feel like they do these big reveals and these big things happen at the end of one episode, and there's no continuation of it into the next. So it was just kind of random that they don't even mention her. There's not even an introduction to John and Russell, who didn't meet her in the last episode. So it was just like, okay, well, where did she go? And is she part of the team now? Like, what's going on? Like, so there's some moments in this show where I feel like it's just from one episode to the next, there's no seamless thread. And that bothers me a lot. And they did it the last episode before this when Astrid was nowhere in sight after she had gotten the big reveal that her best friend could teleport, and Like, hello, where's the follow-up, people? So anyway, I mean, I am still enjoying this show because I really want to know like what is down the road. But for me, like when you're gonna one force a relationship down my throat, the emotional connection needs to be there. And I don't feel that these two, Cara and Stephen, have gotten to that point. I mean, yes, he's held her hand and he's seen visions that John didn't know about. Big whoop. Like, they're not that connected. I mean, I get that, she had been talking to him before he even knew he was a tomorrow person. So I understand that, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling this love triangle and the way that she treated John. And I'm like, John, dump this chick and move on, to be honest. Let her have Steven because that is just whatever. Anyway, guys, I'm still enjoying the show, even though my review didn't sound like it, but I am. So if you have any comments, please leave them down below. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you next week. All right? Bye, guys.